I do believe I'm live. Again, most of the... I'm basically looking at this and hoping that it works, right? So, welcome. I didn't actually, what is it? I didn't keep the failed stream, right? And the reason being is because it only lasted about a minute before it cut out, and I'm going to try and make sure that doesn't happen again. So very quickly posting the link, and then I'll see where it goes from there. I'll ask people, can you hear me, and all that sort of stuff. And then once we're actually in the whole experience, we're doing stuff, then we'll see what we're doing. So hoping that when I disconnect the laptop from the internet, whenever people are actually in here, it will actually work. So I'm guessing I have to blame my internet connection for this, and I should probably get a wired connection, I'll be honest. The router is not even that far away from the PS4, which makes me think... I mean, the internet is fine for everything else, it's just the router... I don't know, it has problems for some reason. Do not know why, but it does. Have some snow, though, in what we're doing today. Might as well do a service and see how it goes. And then, if you can hear something in the background, that is the fan, right? It's a little unit. It's for airflow, basically. Because it is warm in here. It's 21 degrees outside, apparently. But clicking on it again, I mean, it displays the sun, right? It's some kind of new update to Windows or whatever the hell. And it displays the sun for some reason, even though it's clearly night time. I mean, it's 1 in the morning right now. It's very clearly dark outside. Now, it says there's 3 people watching. I don't know whether that's the truth or not, because YouTube is a little bit weird like that, so we will do Newton to Glasgow via Port Shields. That sounds fine. I mean, is there another one that's a bit shorter? Later time? No, we'll do that. Newton to Glasgow. Newton via Port Shields West. Let's start that one. I do hope you can hear me correctly. Yeah, sound check and all that. Yeah, I should hope so. It says there's 3 now. Do not know whether that's correct. Ooh, it's dark. But handy, as I have found the flashlight button. So that is good. AWS switch is up there. For those wondering what I've just turned on. Master key is down here. Ideally I want the cab lights on, and they are down there. That's pantograph, I don't want to touch that. There. Lights are on. AWS self-test. That worked just fine. It's a little bit low, me speaking, right. Apologies for that. It's probably to do with the controller, if I'm completely honest. That is my PS4 in the background. You can maybe hear as well, because it's... I don't know how to explain it. I'll be honest with you, it's old. I suppose maybe at some point they get like that. 314 we're driving at the moment. There has been a comment on one of my videos, one of my streams, that I can't read in its entirety. Can't really hear the PS4. Yeah, well, it sounds like a jet engine. If there's any reason not to buy a PS4 is that sometimes, for whatever reason, there are some instances where people have reported headlights are normal. Good. Let's get moving. Lights are on inside the train, that's good. And for whatever reason, the PS4 likes to sound like a jet engine, basically whenever it wants. And I don't know why. This is a very intensive game on the hardware. It definitely does have an effect. So I understand if it struggles to run it, but at the same time I don't get why it wants to sound like a jet engine. There's no excuse. I mean, it does this on every game now, so it might just be after a while. I know that people can hear this horn. I know that they can, right? The sound thing is very simple to explain. It's because I can't really hear this when I do. I can now because I'm at kind of the right angle. I have the original microphone earpiece thing that came with the PS4, which is a mono headset. It's just like a single earphone, and it only fits in my right ear. Now, ideally it would be in your left because that's where you hear music and sounds. Cute horn effect, indeed. There we go. But ideally that's where you hear music and sounds, in your left ear, and the right ear I think does speech very well. So ideally you want things coming in both ears. I have no choice but to have them in one for earphones because my left ear isn't actually formed correctly. And I don't know why that is. I can speed up a little bit, I think. How far away are we from the actual 800 yards? Let off the throttle a bit. I don't mind being late in service mode, I really don't. I'm just here to drive. So earphones don't fit in my left ear, which means I have no choice to have it in my right. And it obviously can't tell which side you're on, so when I'm on the left side of it assumes that you're putting it in your left ear, but because it's impossible for me to do that, what ends up happening is I can't hear anything that's going on the left side of the train, or something like that. So in the regular game, when I watch all the footage back, it's perfectly fine, you guys can hear that. I, however, can't, so I'm only hearing things from one side, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't.
Any unattended baggage will be removed and may be destroyed by security service.
Aye, Scotland. That's where we are. I know we don't really get to see much of it. It's dark. It's a winter morning, but still. I've decided to set it like that because service mode is kind of the only time when I get to see actual snow in this game. And I like driving in the snow. And on dark mornings, in winter time, you can basically set it to however you want in service mode, but it's very restricted beyond that. So, that comment that was on my live stream, or one of them, was I know what it starts with, but YouTube for some reason doesn't want to show me the rest of the comment on the actual video. Don't know why that is. so I only really get half of what was said. So if you are the commenter Spyro Dragon, Spyro underscore Dragon, I can only pretty much read half your comment on that particular video. And I know it starts with "that makes me," quoting now, "that makes me so happy that your BF can maybe come see you. As a fellow gay, I'm very happy." Nice to hear that we have that in common. Also, I have a question. Everyone seems to have bought Cathcart, but it's not in, and then it gets cut off. So I don't know what Cathcart is not in. I don't know. I do apologise. I'll put the other light on because I discovered this as well. It's a vestibule light. The fluorescent one is back there, and then there's that one. So I suppose we can have this one because we're not really going to be using that area. And it is very dark, so you can't really see the train as it is, but hopefully it will brighten up by the time we finish this, maybe. I also got some subscribers, apparently, like 2. That's nice. And Spyro Dragon has commented before. I'm guessing that he's a furry as well, but if that even is a he, it could be a she. Could be anyone, to be honest. And then somebody replying to me on the previous comment which I replied to on the actual thingy comment itself. Sweet. And their name was Valenta, which is I find to be a kind of little bit strange because Valenta is the name of the Class 43, one of the versions of it, the older version, which is, the older version isn't in this game, which is a bit of a shame to me because I like the older. Also, I'm going to overshoot this by quite some margin. I should have been paying attention. This isn't not my best performance. I'll stick it into reverse. Oh. Alright, we're on the platform, technically. Right. We technically stopped in time. Alright. Suppose that's fine. Right, so yeah, Valenta's the name of one of the, or a version of a Class 43 high-speed train, and his profile picture is a high-speed train, but it's not a Class 43. So, and I believe the one that's on his profile picture is actually electric, not a diesel. Have I pressed the lock doors button? No, I have not. That is really odd. Ah. The master key is... Off we go. We do obviously get wipers. Yeah, if you're alright with listening to that noise. If you're fine with listening to that the whole time, it does indeed have wipers. But a bit about the route that we're currently on. We're on the Glasgow Cathcart Circle route, which was released on the 10th of June, so not that long ago. And it's set in 2017, far before the coronavirus pandemic. To be honest, I wish we could all, I think we all wish we could go back before all this happened, and with that knowledge prevent it from happening. AWS1 makes a yellow signal, which is pretty clear to see on this particular route what colour signal it is. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm operating the brakes, and to be honest, you can't really see the throttle or the brakes from this view, this angle. Don't really know. There's your brakes, there's your throttle, this, there. Make sure we actually stop in the correct area, although it kind of doesn't matter. Now, why we've got a red signal is probably because we're going a bit too quick. We missed the proper area anyway, that's okay. So we've got a red signal 0.7 miles away. And that means we're going to have to stop for a bit. And turn those off maybe. Okay, so to be honest, we can see perfectly fine out of the window. So with my boyfriend potentially joining me in the UK, that's a problem. It's a problem for all the wrong reasons. It's because of, you guessed it, coronavirus again. The restrictions are basically that certain countries around the world are on a certain list, depending on the situation with them currently. The United States is on the amber list. That's not the worst thing to be on. The worst thing to be on is the red list, which means that pretty much no one can travel there or come from that country into the UK. Now, if you're on the amber list, as far as I can decipher from the information, what has to happen is you have to get tested before you come to the UK, and your result will be put on a form. You fill in that form, then you get on the plane, and then when you arrive at the airport, you pretty much have to go straight to whatever hotel you're staying in. And that information is put on your form as well, which will mean that you then have to get tested again. 2 times is the minimum. So the first one is on day 2, and the other one is on day 8. You have to quarantine for 10 days. But on the 5th day, where you're quarantining, that's even a term, you can basically take another test, and if that comes back negative, you will basically be allowed to end quarantine early, but you still do have to take the day 8 test. Now, the issue with that is that he most likely wouldn't have 10 days to spend in the UK, probably only a week. And, you know, I want to be able to see him for the majority of the time that he's here. I don't want him to have to quarantine for... I mean, let's say he did have to quarantine for those 5 days, and he tested negative on everything, right? That's something you have to pay for, which, okay, I'm happy to, because it probably won't be a lot of money. I mean, I'm going to be sorting out some things as well. It's not just him that's paying for stuff. But at the same time, let's say he did end quarantine in 5 days, and during that time I wouldn't be allowed to see him. So that means I've only got 2 days, right, assuming that he's staying a week. And on the 7th day, not really going to spend that much time with him, because that's the day of the flight. Oh, we got a green signal, nice. Off we go again. Once I finish this, we'll we'll do something during the daytime because I know that
Starting
you can't really see
operation at
much
this
at the
station.
moment.
Please have your ticket ready for inspection.
And feel free to use the chat for talking to me and whatever, I don't mind. Don't mind one bit. But yeah, that's annoyed me actually because the US is on the amber list at the moment. Now he says that the earliest he can possibly do something like that would be in August, near to the end of August. So if the US is then on the green list by August, that won't apply because all that you really need to do then is test negative before you arrive, and then maybe once when you're here or something like that. But it's a faff. It's a hassle. Part of me thinks that there's really no need to do all of this stuff. I mean, surely if you tested negative when you got off the plane, you're fine. And he is vaccinated as well, so it's very unlikely that he's going to get it on the plane. Like, what is it, 90-something% effectiveness with most of the vaccines that are out there right now. Right, it's very unlikely, and even if he does test negative, what then? You know, do they send him back? Because he's still going to have to come into the country anyway. He's here. Are they going to put him on a flight back? Is there a special facility somewhere where he's going to be isolating? I don't know. It sounds a bit ridiculous to me because is it really all that necessary? And also there are fines in place if you breach the rules of quarantining or you deliberately try and avoid taking tests. You will be fined, and it is a lot of money. £1,000 is, I've heard, is pretty much the minimum. Or that's after your second time you're found doing it. Potentially even more. And that's £1,000, which translates to over $1,000, which you know that neither of us are going to have when all said and done. So yeah, problematic. I mean, if I have to isolate too, if I have to quarantine, if I actually go and visit him, then I'm fine with doing that. I'm a recluse anyway. I don't really want to go outside, regardless. So yeah, it's a whole thing, and it is unfortunate that we have to jump through so many hoops. And I don't know when they're actually gonna bother to lift these restrictions. I don't know. With happier things in mind, um, what did I want to say other than that? I have been watching Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime. You know, Jeremy Clarkson, he bought a farm in 2008 and has recently started to run it himself from 2019. And it's a very interesting series. I've watched up to episode 5 and I don't think I'm going to be giving any spoilers because you can look this stuff up online. So I'm going to avoid giving specific spoilers. But I think you get from the impression from the trailer that he's not very good at being a farmer, right? And that's another thing that coronavirus did affect quite heavily, and you'll learn the ins and outs of that, a couple of things along the way. You'll learn some interesting things about farming. And 2019 was probably the worst year that you could be a farmer, 2019. and also 2020 because of the pandemic, you know. But 2019 was awful because of the ridiculous amounts of rainfall. That was the highest recorded rainfall in over a century. The problem with lots and lots of rainfall is that it will become a problem when it starts to flood, and it does indeed flood. There are lots of parts of the UK that are relatively flat or very susceptible to flooding. The south of Yorkshire very particularly because it's basically flat. Where I live, it's all hills. We are very much above sea level. We're fine. Any severe flooding that we'll ever get will just run downhill, and that's mostly part of the problem. That's why these places will end up flooding so easily, because everything around them is up high, so everything will just flow down. And being a farmer in those conditions would be, well, you can't plant anything, you can't grow anything, you can't really raise your animals either. You could, in theory, keep raising your animals, but you'd have to put them in a field that isn't flooded or keep them indoors. So it's the worst time you could have picked. But that's a ridiculous thing to say anyway, because nobody knew that that would happen. If people knew that would happen, they wouldn't have bothered planting anything the year before, or the same year. They wouldn't have bothered. So, yeah, that was a difficult time. And then the pandemic came across, which you think, okay, he's out on a farm in the middle of nowhere, what's the problem? He's never really going to get visited by anyone. And that is true. He can very easily keep 2 metres apart, more than 2 metres apart, away from everybody who happens to visit. The only issue there is, though, is that farming is pretty much a dead industry by the time you get something like a pandemic, because you can't export anything and you can't import anything. Nobody will buy things like barley, which is used to make beer. No one will buy it because pubs are not open, so nobody even needs beer. The only people who need beer are the big companies that make beer, but they sell it in stores, and they are pretty much, you know, they will probably have people who work specifically for them and no one else, so they're covered, they're fine. And also he was keeping sheep, right? Keeping animals. You can't really keep animals in the time of the pandemic because nobody is going to buy what you're selling. You know, pubs aren't open, so you can't get things like Sunday roast, which are traditionally beef and lamb. You can't do that. So basically, it affected a lot of things, and you wouldn't expect it to. It is a very interesting series so far, and obviously if you're interested, watch it on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account. If you don't have an Amazon account, it's unfortunately going to be nowhere else. That's one of the things these days, is that everything's on the streaming service, so if you don't have an account with them and you're not willing to pay the money, you can't basically watch anything that's going to be on there. And for the most part, there's nothing on these streaming services that interests me. Clarkson's Farm does, and things like the Grand Tour, which is what he was doing before, the replacement for Top Gear, in essence, and it's not a replacement per se, because they're still doing Top Gear. The only thing is, it's not the same three guys that are doing it, completely different people. And with that, it's a completely different feel, it's just not the same. it's not the same anymore. As much as the BBC want to make you think it's the same anymore, it's not. Paddy McGuinness is no replacement for Richard Hammond or James May or Jeremy Clarkson. They're just no replacement. They were best at doing it, and that is pretty much the end of the story. Unless you want to change the whole format around and change the feel of the programme, which is what they've done, by getting different people to do it, it will never be the same. And as for the Grand Tour itself, I like it, but I obviously, when I saw it, I had some issues with some of the episodes, because some of the episodes felt very wasteful. That's a floating person, right? Because of, I'm guessing the gap here is a bit awkward. Passengers in this game aren't very detailed, I will be honest. They just walk around and get on the train and off the train. That's really all they can do.
Smoking is not permitted in any part of this station or on trains. This includes e-cigarettes.
Thank you, Scottish lady, for that announcement. But the issues that I had with it were, there was an episode, Operation Desert Stumble. I didn't enjoy it because it wasn't about cars. And I feel like now what's happened with the pandemic, I'm thinking that I think Amazon pretty much stopped them from doing things in the tent. They had a travelling tent that they went around with. That was sort of like the studio. That was in the first and second seasons, yeah. And then I think on this last one they're only doing special episodes, and of which there's only 2. They're good special episodes, it's just that there's only 2 of them, and because of the pandemic that will obviously affect things. Apparently they're still working on one of them. Don't know when it's coming out though. I like it, I just wish that there was more to it. I just wish that there was more content there than there actually is. Because I know it took them a while to get to the stage where they're at now. And even on their own, when they're doing stuff on their own, they are good at doing that. Richard Hammond has plenty of documentaries. James May has lots of great content. James May's my favourite one out of the bunch. The most intellectual, the most sensible. Basically me, in a jumper. As crazy as that is, yes, they have a sensible one. He's not strictly the most sensible person ever. He still does that stupid things, but it's just a dynamic and it works. Haven't done that in a while. With the horn. Yeah, at one point we will do some other things though in this stream. It's not all just going to be driving in the dark. Glasgow Central Station is our last stop. And should I break the speed limit? I shouldn't, should I? Because I'm in service mode and that won't go down well. So, apart from that, I enjoyed Parkson's Farm. There are other things that I've watched on other streaming services that I didn't enjoy. For my audience, yes, I am a furry, but I do not enjoy Beastars. I don't enjoy it in the slightest. I think it's the most boring thing that I've ever seen. And I've watched some pretty bloody boring things in my time, but it's up there with being completely uninteresting to me. For those of you who are interested in it, more power to you. But I just find it personally not interesting at all. In fact, I don't even understand where the appeal comes from. If I had to do an in-depth review of it, I don't know enough about it because, like I said, I wasn't interested, so I just ended up skipping through. And I haven't read the manga, or the manga, however you want to pronounce it. Right? I haven't read that. I've read parts of it. The only issue is the parts that I have read have creeped me the hell out. Because in the actual anime, if you can call it, it's CGI. And I know that you can do CGI with anime. I know that the two things aren't mutually exclusive. They can work together. The animation style is something that I don't enjoy, and the drawing style is not something that I enjoy either. It's just drawn in a way that doesn't appeal to me personally. It's distracting. And to me, if something's that distracting, it's not gonna go down well, you know? It just doesn't interest me, personally. And if I was to be completely honest, I think that everybody who does take interest in it, you are being laughed at with that series. The furry community is kind of opening itself up to being laughed at, because there are many times in the series and the manga where the creepiest shit happens. Characters say the creepiest things I've ever heard, like stuff about eating each other, or you know, you've got the main character, I can't even tell because people have spelled it different ways, Lego She or Lego C or whatever you want to fucking call it, Lego Aqua Rages, Lego Technic, Lego City, yeah, Lego City, I'm going to call him Lego City, just because I can. He's the creepiest character I've ever witnessed in film and or television. And I've seen Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. I haven't watched Silence of the Lambs, but I've seen parts of it. And I will say that this CGI wolf, I think is supposed to be, is the creepiest thing on TV and or cinema. Move over Hannibal Lecter, this guy, I don't even find Hannibal Lecter that creepy at all anyway, but I know that the majority of people do. It just doesn't appeal to me. There are moments in it where it's just sexually charged, and I think that it's so sexually charged it's taking the piss out of furries and furry media. This isn't what furry media should be about. Not in my opinion. It shouldn't be like that. In my opinion, it should be... Things like Zootopia are fine, right? That's fine. That's appropriate. It's not really taking the piss out of anything. It's good in its own right. You know, it doesn't even have to appeal to the fandom. The beauty of things to do with the fandom is that there's a lot of things in the fandom that people do actually enjoy. Like, aside from The Lion King, Disney's Robin Hood, Zootopia, these are called furry movies. But this is only because people say that, oh, this was the movie that I saw that inspired me to join the fandom, or something like that. In brutal honesty, there's no one in the fandom that exclusively likes those movies. They like other movies than that. They have other interests. They might like horror films that have nothing to do with animes. They might like science fiction films. They might like other video games that don't have anthropomorphic characters in them. They might like anime. Anime has hardly anything to do with anthropomorphism. Hardly anything. They might like books, other TV shows, normal things, right, that aren't linked to the fandom whatsoever. So furry media is only called furry media because people in the furry fandom say that this relates to them, right? And I don't even think Beastars is a good enough representation. It's not even good enough to be a piece of furry media. It's just not in my opinion. It's not something that is. There's a lovely webcomic that I've read since about 2019 is when I first saw it. It's fantastic. That's great. If someone could make that into a series, that would be fantastic. Because that is a good piece of furry media. Because it's not really. It's safe for work. If you know that expression, it's not sexualized. It's not really. It's appropriate for all ages, and I think that all ages can learn something from it. You don't have to be a certain age to learn something from that. Let's go on a different route. Let's try. Since we haven't been on Tees Valley for ages, hopefully it still works. Turn the rain off for a start because we don't want the rain anymore, thank you. I'll just pick a journey. Which one was this? This was one we've technically already done, but that was the 395. Oh, 395. We'll have a different train this time. Class 52. I'm tempted to try the 52. Yeah, I'll go with the 52. I won't give us that many coaches. And hope that it puts me in the correct position. Manchesterite, you can, if you want to be, if you want to chat in the actual chat in YouTube, I can, you can do that. It's the Furry Experience. It's by Ellen Natalie. I follow her Patreon. I don't actually subscribe to it. I love to if I had the extra money to give, because she really does deserve the help with that. She has been on hiatus for a while. I mean, the page that she had posted last time had been there for many months. Pretty much April last year, I think, is the last time when she uploaded, and then she's uploaded recently. There's been a couple of pages, but I'm sort of giving it some time. It's been running since before 2010, I think. But it is a lovely thing. I just don't think that Beastars is... It's not even that good. Not in my opinion, anyway. It's completely fine if you end up liking it. Take the brakes off and start. Here's what we have. And the highest horn in the world. Possibly. Very strange looking thing. But does make a lot of noise. Marker light is off. That shouldn't really be on, should it? Classification's on. Instrument lights should be on. Yeah. But yeah, the Furry Experience by Ellen Natalie. Fantastic. If you just search up the Furry Experience, you'll find it. Pretty much. The AWS lever, I'm not going to bother turning it on. It's basically underneath the seat. Can't really get to it. It's there. You just barely, you can't even get to it. Not in this camera mode. Wipers, we don't need them. Take off the brake and let's get going. feels offended when I say that I personally don't like B-stars, but I just don't. And there are other pieces of furry media that people have claimed to be furry media, but I honestly sometimes cannot see the connection. Is it that a large proportion of furries enjoy it? Is that what's required to classify it? Does it have to have at least one anthropomorphic animal? Does it have to have something in particular? Because, you know, I did also learn that there are apparently awards for webcomics, and I'm really, really surprised that that particular one that I mentioned hasn't got one. Now, it's not for everybody. People might be turned off it because it's basically... There is religion involved in that it kind of has to be because it's set in Utah. Utah is pretty much synonymous with Mormons. And yes, a lot of the characters in there are indeed Mormons. That's what it's really going past. But even so, it doesn't jam it down your throat. Just because the characters believe doesn't mean you have to, and they even do have a character who doesn't believe in the main trio. It's made up of a trio of Cat, who is literally a cat, right? That's the joke. Okay, it sounds like a very poor joke, but I promise there are some good laughs in it, right? Cat, and there's also Dawn, she's a doe, female deer. She's a heavy Mormon. Cat is also a heavy Mormon because of their families, that's just how they were raised. They attend things like church and part of these groups and whatnot. But it's just not promoted. Is Mormon as well, and it's questioned a lot of the things to do with it. So it's educational. You will learn things about the religion, and even if you do, I definitely don't believe, I'm an atheist, but it's just nice to learn about it in a way that's not being jammed down your throat. I like that it's like that. It's not the only thing I enjoy about it, the characters are all amazing. I didn't finish the third member of the trio, Ronnie, who is a rabbit. She's a rabbit. She is fantastic. My favourite of the three. She's the one who doesn't believe in Mormonism. She's not of the faith. And that obviously does lead to some minor conflicts. She doesn't hate it. She doesn't know what they do. But she will usually avoid it. And it has been brushed on as to why. I just recommend reading it. And there are some points that I wish could have been explored a bit more. Maybe there will be in the future, maybe, because it is an ongoing space. Right? The furry experience inspired me, personally, to do my own comics. That is why I even started in the first place. Because I wanted to make my own. Didn't want to make one better, didn't want to make one exactly like it, I just decided I want to try and make a webcomic. Has it been successful? Yeah. I have patrons that I'm very, very grateful for. Is it in the position that I want it to be right now? No, it's not. Have I written a lot of things for it that we get to see? Yes, that's correct. Have I been pulling my hair out because of the IRL situation? Yes. Have I been pulling my hair out because I don't know which direction to take it next? Yes. All of that is true. Right. I should be slowing down here. stop in the right place still. Come on. There you go. Oh, well the passenger thing isn't working for some reason, that's nice. Thanks Dovetail, you broke that. What was supposed to happen there is we would open the doors and the passengers would board or unload. That appears to be broken. Alright. I suppose it's just going to be stopping at these stations and then moving on. My language. That was my attempt at suppressing a sneeze didn't really go that well. This thing is loud. I will say that. Especially like this. Oh, power. Yeah, it's incredibly loud. Even in here. But yeah, so that appeared to have been broken somehow. When they usually patch the game, they usually break something else. So that must have been what they'd broken. Okay. Didn't expect it, but okay. Yeah, the characters were good. The story arcs were also very good. You'd spend quite a while on those story arcs, you'd get really invested. Even if they just pulled out a new character, you'd be able to get invested in them. It's good humour as well. It's genuinely funny, genuinely entertaining. And there are lots of deviations from the story to do those jokes, but at the same time, they don't feel cheap. It's not like when Family Guy does it, it's a cutaway, it has no bearing. No, they do have a little bit of bearing because they are actual things that have happened. The jokes work. And I was just inspired by it to do my own webcomic and see how that's working out. Which I've gotten positive feedback from most people that I've read it. They're excited to keep working on it. There's also the prospect that we're going to be starting a zine or a magazine. I hate using the word zine because it feels so cheap and lackluster. It feels so empty. That's the term. You're wondering, what is a zine if you've never heard of it? A zine is basically like an independent magazine thing, sort of. It's very difficult to explain because they range so much in diversity. Historically, they've been used by independent artists who basically just put their own style of things in a very short, limited publication type thing. It's very difficult to explain, you're better off asking Google. But there is a prospect that might happen with the comic. I mean, to a certain extent, I think we could pull it off. The only thing is that I need a team to do that. The main artist who does the work will be essentially ready to start on the next page tomorrow. Monday the 14th of June. But I'm only going to be paying for one page this time around. The reason is because I'm basically on a budget. Right? Things have changed a little bit. It's all I can really afford. Just one page, but that one page I will have to pick because that page will dictate what's happening with the rest of the story. So we'll see what happens by then. But with the zine, it's an interesting idea. I've spoken with another artist at least about it discussing. All the strange things he said are going backwards. That's strange, okay. Yeah, I have discussed it with one person. It's an interesting idea. Whether what exactly we can do with that is another question, because can we sell it? Historically, zines weren't really meant to be sold. They were kind of the opposite of that. They would be given away for free and just made as a passion project. That kind of thing. Very small circulation kind of thing. I suppose we could. That would help pay the artists who are involved in it. Would it help to promote the comic in the end? Would it bring more people to be interested in it? Would it help if it was published alongside the comic? So every month there would be a new issue that people who are subscribed can get for free and everyone else has to pay. Would it be an idea to release a free version at the start so that everyone can see what upcoming issues would be like if that's the case? I don't know. I mean, what do you two think? Spooky and Manchesterite who are watching. Like, what do you two think about that? Because I honestly have no idea. I just want it to be, in the end, a successful venture, whatever it is. It's like I want the comic to be successful. I'm gonna run over this, aren't I? I'm gonna overshoot quite far. And I even reverse. I guess there's nothing happening. Reverse it is in reverse. I don't want the left doors unlocked, thank you. Take off the brake. That is problematic. Can I pass that signal? I guess I didn't stop in that car. This has not gone well. I gotta go. No problem at all. I'll stay right here and try and... I'm gonna get a failure, aren't I? Because I passed into the next block. Yeah. Yeah. No problem. Thank you very much for watching as well, Manchester. I was speaking separately. Well, damn. I'll tell you why that happened. Because the railways are segmented into blocks. I passed into the next block, and because I didn't leave that block on the other side, it thought that I'm still in, or there's a train still in there, which in real life, a red signal really does mean stop, because if you pass by it, you will probably hit the thing that's in that block. So that's why red signals exist. Also, they exist at the end of the line as well, so you don't smash into the barriers. The little buffers. Yeah, the buffers. So, that didn't go particularly well, but yeah, I should have just kept going, shouldn't I? Oh well. Oh well. I don't know about the zine idea. I'll take a small break though. I'll be right back. Alright, I've returned, and I think what I'm going to do, Dovetail Live, there is probably a challenge. What was the challenge though? This is the problem. The community challenge out, so where is it? I know that there's one for Glasgow. I just don't know what it is. Or some kind of challenge to complete. It popped up as we started the game. So I don't know, that's the store. That's my XP in progress with all the different ones that I currently have. There are some of these that I've never even touched, I'll be honest. Route tasks? Will that be what it is? Or would that just be the... I think this is in the order that they are. Cathcart Circle. So, posters, maps, things like that, newspapers, those are part of the challenge, but part of the individual. Mastery challenges, there we go. Drive 30 miles? Hey? I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've done that. Don't get how I haven't. I did the challenge for Southeastern High Speed when that was a thing. I mean, we just get a alien and a UFO sticker thing for the livery editor. You can teach 2 scenarios or timetables. I mean, kinda done that before. Alright. I suppose what we'll do is we'll try a scenario then, because just a short one. 75 minutes? I don't think so. 40 minutes. Geez, we've already kind of done these. There are some for other things. Class 31 engineering works. I've started it now, so I'll have to kind of touch it, do something about it. But yeah, I got thinking about my own webcomic, and I do think that it was a massive undertaking that I probably shouldn't have taken on. I should have planned it out a bit more before I started, and that is basically me taking an honest look at it, at how I've done it. The issue is that it does need money. Glasgow Central Line 4. Are we carrying anything? Oh, we are. Okay. There's my second man. He's there. There's the master key. It's on run. Should be on run. Do you miss the brake test? It's night time, isn't it? Tail lights are off. Instrument lights are on. Desk lights on. And then the last one's cab light. Now I can see. Take off the automatic brake. These need to be on for us to actually go anywhere. go. AWS is on, nice. Off we go, taking this to near Glasgow Central. Now I don't really know where we are at the moment. We're in... I think we're at Newton, where we started. Let's hopefully this goes well. Anyway, are you still there, Music of Adam? Or Spooky? Or whichever you want to me use. Do. Oh, it's the live chat just broke. I apologise if it happens. Don't really know what exactly we're going to be doing in this specific service, but we'll see. Instrument light dimmer. Don't really need to touch that. Hot plate. So far I don't think you can really tell what it does by looking at it. Don't even know where it's on or off. Second man there just staring in space. Useful, I suppose. The Electromotive 2000, I believe that's what it's called. If it asks me to use this, it better tell me what buttons to press, because I don't understand it. Not you blind. You're still technically doing things with Glasgow, so hope it turns out well. Pure darkness. Get used to the automatic brakes, so we're on automatic now. We'll hold that braking power. Nice. Kinda doesn't matter how harshly we brake because we're hauling freight, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Wind up and open that way, laptop does need charging. However, yeah, back in a second. Okay, now I've returned. Right. Now I've returned. So with the webcomic itself, we're speeding, aren't we? That's as much braking as we can have. Right, with the webcomic, why are we still slowing down? We're going up a hill. But, yeah. The comic issue is that when I started, I didn't really have it all planned out. It's very much a work in progress as it goes along, if that makes sense. It's got a floating script, so it changes based on what I need to change at that very moment in time. It tries to keep consistent with itself, which I think for the most part it's done. I think it's done that pretty well. That's where it does need support. It does need support to actually keep going, because I don't have the money every single month to be making it go as fast as I want it to. I mean, all I really want is to earn $50 a month, right? That is the average cost per page, and even then it goes above that. So that's just the average. $50 a month is relative to other Patreon accounts that I've seen that have similar sort of things going on, like individual comics. First of all, those artists, the only thing they have to really pay for is the distributing those, being a member of all the sites where it's posted. Also distributing in reality, distributing merchandise that might relate to it, which I don't have to worry about. The only thing I have to worry about is paying the artist who actually does the work. So that's why I need money for it. If I were doing the work myself, I wouldn't need to charge anybody, but I can't because I just don't have the skills required. I've got the writing skills, but as for the actual art part of it, no. So it's very much it relies on other people to work. Now, if I had pitched this to somebody who's an expert in business, they probably would have said, why are you doing that? You don't have the skills. Or you don't have enough money to, if you were to put together a first issue and then have people subscribe based on that first issue as a whole, whether they liked it or not, that would probably be a better decision. So there are different ways I could have gone about it that might have ended up better or worse, or I don't know. Point is that I picked this way of doing it. I'm fine with doing it this way, so long as it eventually does get the support it needs to keep going as a project, because it takes so much money out of me that it's not going to be financially viable for me to just keep spending it. Now I've got some patrons already, and that generates me Patreon claims about $24 a month, but in reality it takes tax off of that, and it also charges me a fee anyway, just for using Patreon. So in a nutshell, when it says I'm getting $24, I'm really getting all 19. Right? And it won't tell anybody outside what I'm being charged. So the money, when it comes from patrons, there's VAT to pay, I believe, but that VAT is taken away anyway, so it's not going to me. It's going through the local government, whoever the local government is in your current area. There are different tax rates for different places, because people obviously have to be taxed on Patreon. The money that goes into it has to be taxed. It didn't used to be that way, but the moment that they introduced that in the middle of last year, I think it was, I have to basically set taxes for the different benefits. I basically said what a benefit is probably going to be worth by just introducing it. They would guess at how much it's worth. So yeah, I'm not earning as much as it says I'm earning. So in reality, I do need more help with it. $50 a month is the goal. Any more than that, I'll be happy. It's just that with the situation being what it is, I can't actually produce anything as a reward myself. For that, I'd need more money to invest in said reward to entice people to come in the first place, and then subscribe and support. And it would be a terrible shame if I had to give up on it, because I genuinely do have some good stuff planned for it. I just don't know if people will really like it. It's one of those things that when I ask people about it, they seem very passive about it. They say that they don't hate it, but it doesn't get a lot of people talking. I'm just wondering, is this a good sign? Is this a bad sign? What is this? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do going forward. I know that it needs more support. I just don't know how to get those supporters without bugging them. And I hate bugging people. I despise advertisements bugging me to buy a product which I'm not even interested in. YouTube has plenty of ads on it that I'm just, since I guys are wondering why did you bother advertising this thing to me, I don't even buy that. Or I'll never be interested in that because A, I can't afford it, and B, I don't even have the thing that it goes with. Like, go via, so we don't need to stop, do we? Right. Stop at Gladwell Central. Makes sense. And I don't think there's any AWS magnets on approach, which is pretty weird. Direct brake could probably do a decent job of slowing us down. But the direct brake only acts on my locomotive. Albert too. Stopping in the right place. There is a buffer at the end there, we're not gonna... I can help it. Enough braking power. Oh, we'll just stop here, forget it. Is that it? That's all you want me to do? Wow. Well, I think that's pretty much going to be the end of the stream. Stream for 1 hour and 27 minutes, that's a decent amount of time. Thanks for coming, thanks for watching. I'll make that the last thing we're doing. Hopefully next time we'll have some more fun. Thanks for coming along, goodbye.